All right. I think a few more people have joined in, and I think we can get started now. So, welcome everybody to this Node NFT AMA. I should say the much anticipated Node NFT AMA with Vishnu, the CEO and the Chief Architect of StackOS. This AMA is going to be all about the Node NFT program that was launched last Sunday. We really want to hear you out and answer all your questions today. Uh, Also, just another reminder that top two questions asked during the AMA today will receive StackOS Gen 1 Plus Node NFTs. So, with that, I think we can get started. So, welcome, Vishnu. A lot of people are interested to hear what you have to say, and then also probably answer some of the questions.
Mhm.
So, yeah, before we get
Uh,
to that, yeah. Uh,
Thank you for having me here. That's what I have to say.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great. I think people really want to hear from you. So before we get started, Vishnu, why don't you start this AMA with you giving the audience some details about the thought behind creating this whole Node NFT program?
Right, right. First of all, thank you everyone for being here. I know these times may not be the most appropriate for everyone in the world, and we know that people across the different places are signing in for this AMA. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate that, and obviously welcome to this program. And I would like to answer as many questions as I can. First thing, I guess, answering Arvind's question is why did we actually even build the Node NFT program, right? So here's the thing. So creating nodes on any of the blockchain protocols is extremely hard. And what ends up really happening is there are few people in the entire ecosystem or in the entire crypto space that end up benefiting from these node programs. And 90% or 99% of these people are other people are left out. So what we had to really do was to switch that over in a way where we are able to incentivize the community overall to be benefiting from the node programs, which are not traditionally possible in other places. So that was kind of the main way in which we could actually have the community involved in the governance, in the network participation, and the scalability of the entire network. And and that's kind of one of the uniqueness of the node NFT program, the mindset behind that originally, right? But of course, if you go through the entire details of why do we even need to structure it as a node NFTs and stuff. First of all, this program has gone undergone a tremendous amount of thought process, build up, and also development time, right? And people fail to understand how complex these things can be. And I can tell you everyone here that StackOS Node NFT program is one of the hardest programming or coding done by any of the blockchain projects so far. And the thing is that also means that when we start something like this, it involves a lot more development time, effort, and making sure that auditing goes as expected. We have been we undergo processes where there are multiple auditors going through the code and just making sure things are as good as expected, right? So again, when these things come into play, it's important from our understanding of how do we actually ensure that more community is able to participate, and also be incentivized for helping the network grow. Now, traditionally, if you look at node and node programs, uh, building a node which is like increasing the scale of your network makes it actually harder to build or harder to launch these nodes, right? For example, let's say even on Ethereum. Now with the newer the Ethereum 2.0, for starting a new node, you require 32 ETH. And the thing is, as ETH gets more expensive for people to really to buy and purchase, it becomes increasingly harder and harder to really launch an Ethereum node. So StackOS is a completely different protocol. I think if you can argue for most of these proof of stake protocols, it's okay for nodes to be limited because you don't want just too many nodes and without adding any real value, right? With StackOS is very different. Each of our nodes are actually used for running applications, and as more applications get deployed on StackOS, it requires much more number of nodes, which also means that it will require to scale faster and faster as time goes by. Right now, when you look at the growth curves, right, the growth curves people are, usually they look at, we are at the beginning stage of that, and once it starts to hit the momentum of, more applications being deployed and people looking at each other deploying applications on stack os, this is where it starts to scale, right? There'll be hyper growth of the entire network, which will also mean that the nodes, more nodes will be required. And if we throttle ourselves with these limitations of having a fixed number of stack tokens per node, it is going to fail, right? So we have to make sure that how do we get more community members involved, create a mechanism where we are able to build up community participation, increasing the velocity of nodes being added to the network as we start launching, or as more people start deploying on StackOS, and so on and so forth, right? And I think you can already see StackOS right now currently is positioned to be, it is the fastest growing decentralized cloud in the entire crypto space. It is the fastest growing, and it is also the largest, the most utilized decentralized cloud, and nobody else is in a position to actually claim that but StackOS. So and that's again, it's been a mix of community members who are deploying StackOS as application, a node portal, also on our platform, right? So, and also people who have deployed previous to the launch of our Node NFT program as well. So we have seen this dramatic increase in application deployments, and it's it's going to just keep increasing from here. So that is again the goal, the thought process also. One thing in the structure of the way we have laid out the node nft program is, whenever the nfts, when they are traded on the network or on the marketplace, there will be a lot of capital generated from that, right? And that capital again is going to be used for strategic investments, and also for basically increasing liquidity on these markets, right, on different decentralized exchanges. And if you see the way the vision of StackOS is to be multi-cloud, right? So multi-cloud, multi-accounts, and also be able to spread across multiple blockchains, right? And that also means that we will have to provide liquidity for all of these different blockchains. So in doing that actually, so that's kind of the uniqueness, I think, what we bring in. And I'm trying to add gamification in the entire node process, and really trying to get more people deploy and on StackOS as part of the node nft program. And also as we go forward, I think we would see that these node portals which people have deployed and running on StackOS, they will be enhanced to bring up validation services and other such services, which will basically increase the decentralized nature of the entire program. So in the true sense, when people are building node nfts, they are not only creating slots on the network for the cluster operators to launch their nodes on, but it also gives an opportunity for people to participate in a decentralized way in which we can validate the networks and the services in a very quick fashion. So that's kind of also kind of one of our ethos, and we're trying to just build upon all that stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Vishnu. Utility is definitely the name of the game, and StackOS is currently smashing that game. Uh, so, just one last question before we open up the floor for audience, is that what are some of the current updates on the Node NFT program that you can give us?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. First come first. People have submitted their forms for the ones which had some questions about the transactions and all. 95% have people have been answered for those. 5% people have either maybe probably be contacted today. Um, but most of them have already been spoken with. They've agreed upon whatever has to be. And there's a lot of work again. Of course, we had a lot of people who had inquiries, and with the limited number of people who had expertise of understanding the transaction history and everything, they it did take the time it did. It's about a week, I think, but when we did try to get ahead of all that list of questions we had. Out of those things, most people actually benefited from whatever the liquidity drop which was there on Define exchange. But that was kind of the good part as well. So move to the second bit of this is that since then, I think over the first 2 days itself, we made some significant updates to Node portal based on the feedback which we got, right? And of course this was important because the simplicity of the program is important, and we tried to ensure that we were able to balance in a way where we were able to give the people functionality which they needed to make it more easier for them to operate and run. And happy to say that most of those we had, I think about, I did talk about this in the community and one of our tweets as well. We had about 6 or 7 different updates which we made in the first 2 days itself to the to Node portal, and I know that that's going to simplify this experience, and it has already. What we're also looking for is an update which will be coming up in next few days, which will enable this thing to be even become much more easier from use case, from usability point of view, where you'll be able to see these up with another feature which people are requesting for, to really make claiming and also process of which we had to make. Overall, we have about over 20,000 NFTs minted on the network, which is extremely, one thing, which I've got feedback from many people, and also looking at other projects which have the way the Node program has been run and NFT programs have been run. uh, by far, the StackOS Node NFT program has been a huge and tremendous success, right? Very few projects are in the position to really say that they had such a massive demand for those NFTs at the beginning itself. Our top, on the auctions, we had NFTs sell for about $50,000 worth of stack tokens. So that's incredible amount of investment people have made, the trust which they put into the program and which we're trying to deliver. The second thing is, we, as part of that, people who have, we have also, we have people who have deployed applications on StackOS as part of the node portals, and that has almost more than doubled the number of deployments on StackOS's platform. Again, we were already the fastest growing and most utilized. We have just doubled. So comparing to the next project, which is to us, which is, I think, Akash, they have about I think 380 or 390. In the last few days we have changed, but in the deployments, active deployments on the platform, StackOS is more than 3 times their number of deployments running on StackOS. It's an incredible achievement in a much shorter time frame than what they have showcased. So that's another feedback here, or which we have got from people, that the experience of deployment on StackOS was extremely easy, and those numbers actually reflect that, right? That how easy it was to use. Um, One thing which also comes along with these deployments and is that the possibility which we have now to start decentralizing the validation services on the network, which is again by itself a very important milestone for StackOS, right? So I think that's kind of where we are in terms of deployments which have increased on StackOS. Now, talking about these all these new efforts which are going on requires development and requires developers. So happy to announce that we are adding over 5 developers to our team now, which will be basically increasing our development velocity as well. We are trying to balance the need for both the marketplace, the Node NFT platform, the main application deployment platform as well. And there are a few more applications which we'll be releasing over the time frame, and for that we need more development time and development hours, and for that I think the developers are going to really add value. There are 2 more agencies who have reached out to us in support of building and growing the Stack versus network, meaning that there are going to be at least 2 organizations more who would be building and developing on Stack OS, and basically creating those foundational applications which people will be able to use with much more much more utility to the entire ecosystem. So pretty excited to announce that as well, that we are ongoing the onboarding process there as well, and hoping to see really good progress there. um, and last but not the least, right? uh, People who have deployed applications on StackOS, the ones who even have who are participating in the Node NFT program and have also pretty much deployed applications on StackOS. That's game changing because now you have people who are minting Node NFTs. They are subscribing to these Node NFTs, and they are also understanding the value which StackOS brings. Right, that's incredibly important. It's not like a fluff project, having nodes and not running any applications on it. It is an application which on a protocol which has use cases. It has people who are invested in them and will be the ones who would be spreading the word of StackOS in the entire crypto space. And that's what I'm really excited about, and really, feel humbled by this support which we have.
Oh, that's great. All these things, it's like music to my ears, adding more developers and more development happening. And like you said, over 20,000 Node NFTs have already been minted, and the number doesn't seem to be slowing down. So that's really awesome. So I think you've given us a great update on the current status of the program and the thought behind creating this whole program. So I think it's now right time to open the floor for questions from the audience. So if anybody has any questions, please do request to speak, and I will bring you up one by one. So let's go ahead with this.
Yeah. One thing before I think questions start coming in, I would also encourage people to give feedback about their experience of deploying on StackOS, because that essentially is our fundamental protocol, right? And I would really like feedback on that and how you guys felt, what you experienced, deploying an apps on StackOS, and what can we do better, of course, but also, like, there are other people who are listening to this, and it'd be really great to really spread that information about how your experience was. So I would encourage both of that as well.
Yeah, we're always looking to improve, and any feedback certainly helps us. All right, we have the first request, and I'm bringing them up. All right. Uh, Hey, Ultra True Dog. I hope I'm saying that right, but the floor is yours.
Oh, appreciate it. Vishnu, thank you
Okay,
for
today I'm going to be replacing one of the commercial
this
capacitors
space.
on the Magna.
I love the vision of decentralized cloud and my experience with setting up the Node NFT um, deployment and all of that. It was fairly smooth once I got the hang of it. Just didn't have kind of an official guide necessarily. I wasn't sure what was official. Um, and so I was kind of a little bit in the dark on what to do there. But I feel like I did get a little bit lucky and was able to get into the Gen 1 category with the with my lottery ticket. Um, but yeah, otherwise, it's neat seeing you know my nodes being deployed in a decentralized way on the platform. I think that's awesome. Um, I just wanted to ask, and just to kind of see, obviously, I think a lot of people are curious, when, further developments will come with the marketplace, when trading will happen, but I think long term, my most important concern with any project, which we've seen so many node projects go up with hype and then go down with sell pressure. um, I know that Stack has a very innovative dripping mechanism for its sell pressure, and I think that's really smart. I like the way it's set up. Um, what would you say is the ultimate? Because I know, the Stack tokens themselves are capped. What would you say is the ultimate driving factor for revenue for Stack as a company, and um, how are you guys innovating to bring, you know, revenue for node holders down the road? You're not necessarily, I'm not a dark matter operator or cluster operator, but as a simple, I've got some, node NFTs, they're being deployed on the, high yield program. What what's kind of going on behind the scenes to kind of drive value to that, or is it more of just kind of a staking kind of platform while Stack is still in its startup phase, which is totally fine. But I'd like to know kind of where you guys are headed as a company, because I think that's more important to me than just another node program.
Yeah. No, thank you. Water capacity, or yeah, whatever gets dripped out of these nodes as small portions would be dripped off, for eternity, right? As long as we could. And the network grows and scales, and those slots are being used. So that's kind of the main, which would I would say that over time would transcend, or take the place of these rewards coming from the reward system which we have offering, and then the ones which are coming to the marketplace and all that. Now, not a publicly listed information yet, but this is something which I wanted to speak about a little bit since you asked that question. Apart from this, the basic motivation or intention of these is to create a lot of these node NFTs, and so that people can start, you know, receiving value and seeing the value in these, right? And the network has enough to scale up when we are hit by those demands, right? We cannot, it's not, it wouldn't be financially possible to mint those things at one immediate go when the network is already at a hyperscale rate, right? So that's kind of, we have to build this infrastructure, or this network slot layer before our nodes start to scale up really rapidly. So that's kind of one of those ways. How we are incentivizing that is through the high yield program, which basically, is structured to be giving out good returns to ones who have minted these NFTs. And and again, to your, I think, initial question as well, is that what is it, the how do we ensure that the deflation, or the inflation on the node tokens which are going to be in the network, they wouldn't drop it down dramatically, right? And here's the thing, that for any protocol to succeed, it first requires community, right? And I think the intention of the Node NFT program is twofold. One is, as I said, to grow the slots in the network, but also to increase the number of voices, of people who are deploying on StackOS and participating in deploying applications, and then experiencing, what it really is, right? And what StackOS is really doing here. Because for most of the Node NFT or Node programs you have heard of, or you've been talking about right now, they have absolutely no utility as of date, right? Two ones which we already know of, which are popular. Akash is one, and Flux is another. Flux doesn't have any applications running on it, barely 31 or something they keep claiming. But the other list is about Akash, and I think I respect Akash because it has at least a working product, right? But they have ways in which the clusters, or the people who are staking, they get a lot of tokens as rewards, which are essentially sell. There are other programs I think people are talking about, and I know some people in the community, coming from the strong community, right? Again, when you have structures where you keep giving them infinite amount of tokens as a rewards, it cannot go to perpetually. There will be a time and everybody's going to start selling and it's going to come down. And I think you pointed out correctly that StackOS has a way of which locks the tokens for almost a year, right? And the design is such that as the stack grows up in value, it is to maintain the same growth of their incentive. They need to either mint new NFTs, or they have to understand that it's going to reduce their tokens which they get lost. That's why when the price is low, it's the best time to actually accumulate more stack tokens as a reward system. And as stack goes up in value, the rewards which are dripped in dollar terms will still be the same, but the number of tokens which you get will be much less, right? So it automatically it is designed in a way where you have reducing deflation or reducing inflation of the stack token as the price starts to go up, right? And I think that is kind of the mindset, and where we are trying to head to by design, of this. Now there were other question which you had also asked in the same, in the question was, when is a marketplace coming in, right? And what is that which is adding value? When will that start to add value? And here's another aspect of things. The marketplace is actually is in great progress, has great progress. I do not want to commit to a time because we have experienced this in the past, that we give a time frame and that usually works against us. And it's very difficult for me to be in this position, because if I give some timelines, that's an issue. If I don't give timelines, I'm still in an issue, right? It's like you're doomed if you do, or you're doomed if you're not. So if you don't, so that's kind of my situation right now. So I would just take the liberty of not committing to a time frame, an exact time frame, but I feel confident that it should be very soon, meaning that hopefully in next few weeks, right? Or maybe earlier than that as well. um, so that's kind of the structure or where we have in the marketplace. Now let me answer this also, but why is the marketplace so important, and why I think it would help massively reduce the sell pressure. And so what the marketplace does is, basically with these NFTs which are there, they have these tag tokens which will be locked in, right? And they will be dripped over the period of 1 year. So here's the thing: when people they at times when the stack token price has gone up substantially, or it is seeing a correction, that is the time when the trades of these NFTs will rampantly go up, because they have stack tokens locked in, right? So what happens is, when it's going up and it's going down, so what happens is people try to sell them at a discount of what the original prices of the stack tokens locked into those NFTs, right? So when they're trying to sell these things on the market, they took a discount. That means the ones who are purchasing them, they are long-term believers in the stack token, which will be distributed to them over the period of time, right? They still buy at a discount, but they have more vision, or or they do see that the program is going to do well over time, or the stack token is going to be more valuable in the long term. So we move, basically with the NFT program, we move the assets which were there from people who want to sell to the people who want to hold. So that actually ties up very neatly with not just the drip rate, but the marketplace playing an integral role in this entire ecosystem, of being built. And as I said earlier, I think in the beginning of this introduction, I mentioned that some of these trade, or a big portion of the trade revenue which comes in to the decentralized cloud is actually would be used to add liquidity to these markets. So as token goes up, more trades happen on the market both ways, right? When it's going up and down, there'll be more liquidity added to the decentralized network, or to these dexes. So that again helps tremendously in reducing the sell pressure, because at that point in time, people have to they'll have to sell much more to have the drop, which they actually had to bring the price up, or so that's kind of the structure of it's trust me on this, right? We have gone through this like 50 to 100 times of different modeling before we came up with this process of why it should really add value in the long term. That is kind of the structure of why we brought in. There will be people who are right now minting NFTs with the hope that in the future these NFTs will become more expensive, and I think it will, because the DAO, once it comes over, depending upon how much scale we need for these um, network or these nodes to come up, the value of these node NFTs will probably go up, depending on how much is the requirement, right? And go down as well. So that means that all the NFTs which are held by current people right now will be also choosing to sell or give to people who are willing to buy at a discount. And when they do buy that, they will be, first of all, they'll be able to get back their initial investment, but also be able to help the network try to build up its liquidity and just creating more stable ecosystem for these um, for the nodes. So sorry for making such a long-winded answer for this question, but I thought they were all integral part of these. And again, what I've spoken about architecture, these is probably like less than 20% of what actually is designed to do. But that's one of the models I just thought would be valuable to explain.
I appreciate that a lot, Vishnu. Thank you. Thank you so much. And do you know if the trading,
Yes.
are those live, but we won't see,
Yes.
trading reflections happen until the marketplace goes live because you can't sell your NFT yet.
Right. So there are two things, right? One is the minting the minting fees, which is actually distributed, and the marketplace is the second one. But yes, until the marketplace goes up live, it will not be able to distribute because there is nothing collected. Right? So I'm hoping in the I don't think it should be a dream crush or anything of that sort, because regardless of when it actually becomes live, it will have the same amount of purchasing, or sells and the buys of these NFTs. So I wouldn't be really concerned about the time frame for that. But I understand the people want to buy and instead of minting new NFTs, and that's absolutely all right. Um, in terms of I think the first bit also is that there's a minting fees which is also there. Minting fees are already accumulating, right? The by design
Okay.
the contracts do not give out to those. So what happens is the ones which are in the previous epoch or subscribed in the previous epoch, they're the ones who get the new receive the stack tokens accumulated in the current epoch. So if there's a delay of one epoch, so that's why you would not see that. But what we'll be doing, at least for the first one, is probably create a mechanism of distributing the whatever is collected in this frame for the ones who are subscribed in this epoch. So if I hope that I helped answering your question.
So I will be able to track the minting fees that I've accumulated within my nodes um, on the portal soon and be able to claim them soon, but not yet.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, until these accumulates, right, it is not going to be distributed, obviously. So there's a 30-day period where the 30-day period, the trading fees and minting fees get accumulated, and
Gotcha.
and once they're accumulated in the 30 days, you'll be able to pull them out of those markets, or from that accumulated thing. That is the only way how smart contracts are able to see those rewards accumulating and seeing that.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So I could hopefully use those to help pay my maintenance fees.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
That's
it,
good.
Vishnu.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
All right, thanks for the question, Ultra True Dark. We'll move on to the next question. Next speaker. If anybody wants to come up, please do request. I saw a couple, but those requests have been gone, so you can request again. All right, we have Akash. Pretty interesting name. So Akash, please do ask your question.
Yeah, I don't really have a question. I just want to say that I really love the project. I'm all in on it. I'm not a developer, unlike most of the people here, but have to say that it's really easy to deploy an app from the App Store. It's really cheap. It's about like $2 or something. It's far cheaper than my namesake project. But yeah, I recommend this to all my dev friends, and it's going well. So you guys are doing a good job. Just want to give you a big kudos, Vishnu and team. So good luck.
Thank you very much, man. Yeah, it's been incredibly hard, you know, and it's been incredibly hard trying to get through this Node NFT program release. And yeah, I really appreciate that you're saying this because it really values really matters to all of us, right? And we literally have been there have been times, especially in the last few weeks, we've been sleeping 2 to 3 hours every day just because we had to support the amount of the expectations which we have, which people have of us. We have to deliver on those. So we're working extremely hard. So I really appreciate all of these kind words. Thanks, man. I heard you have a project namesake. Even if you're not a developer, I'm sure your people engineers are probably deploying on StackOS. If that is the case, thank you very much for supporting this ecosystem. And yeah, please reach out, and we'll be happy to talk about those as well in our future upcoming announcements.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Akash. The next speaker, Sage Labs, you can ask your question.
Hey, how's it going, Vishnu? How's it going, StackOS team?
Good, man. Good. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. I have a few questions. I'm not too sure if you covered this already, but is the marketplace that you're proposing going to support other NFTs besides StackOS?
Great question. We've been asked this thing a few times, previously, and the answer to that question is yes. Right, we'll have a different product roadmap for that marketplace, and the intentions would be, to be able to generate different source of revenue from those platforms as well, and which also means that it is going to have, so it's going to support other NFTs as well, from other people and stuff. Um, there will be more value add than you would see on any of the existing marketplaces. So really excited about that too.
Awesome. And then another thing. So I'm an NFT developer. We kind of Sage Labs is a Web3 company that kind of helps companies bootstrap and spearhead themselves into the NFT world and the Web2 to Web3 transformation. How can StackOS be leveraged to deploy backend services? Is it just using a container and creating an API endpoint, or what's your thought process and advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, thank you first of all for being part of this community. And yes, I hear that your NFT startup. I mean, you probably help bootstrap startups. So I think this is an interesting one because when you talk about NFTs, and it's much more than this the UI, right? And I think there's a lot to do also with taking data, fetching data from the blockchain and using it to be stored locally before it can be shown on other interfaces as well. So yes, so all of your backend services currently can be deployed on StackOS. That is the major breakthrough I think which StackOS is bringing in, compared to many of these different toolings which people call the Web3, right? Again, Web3 right now at the current state, without StackOS, is something like you can put your GIFs, you can put your user interface like your front end as a React app, and that's it, right? And nothing else can happen. Basically, every transaction element will need to happen with the blockchain directly, right? And that is kind of the biggest pain point for any of the fundamentally any Web2 projects, right? And the experience which they bring in, and all of us know this already. There's no second thoughts around that. The user experience of Web2 is unmatched in Web3 world right now, and that's where StackOS is coming in. It's trying to get in the backend services, is getting the Redis caches, is getting Elasticsearch, all of these different toolings which are required to really make user experience great. That's what StackOS is bringing in. Take an example of artificial intelligence, right? Take a machine learning. Like for and I do talk about this a few times here, to the community sometimes, is that when you're looking at, let's say, someone wanting to scan an image and say that, hey, does this image have a car, right? And what you can do for this thing would be that you can start implementing models, or community can start deploying apps on StackOS pre-modeled to identify a car in in an image, right? And any of these blockchain protocols or or Web2 companies, when they come in, all they have to do is submit their image onto the API, and the AI tool will automatically, instantly give you back a response of yes, the probability of the car in this image is 95% or 98%, right? Or not, right? That there is no car in this image. So that's kind of the power of really bringing use case, usability, of the Web 2 world into the Web 3 world. And yes, to answer to what you just said, right? That is the thing which StackOS is selling, and positioning itself for the fundamental revolution in the Web 3 infrastructure side. So hopefully StackOS is going to be that, the fundamental infrastructure layer for the Web 3 world. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. We see that now. We don't try and jam everything into our JavaScript or our front end, but oftentimes other developers do, and having that complete package would be extremely powerful.
Yeah,
So I see the leverage, and I see StackOS perfectly filling that gap,
that's
to
great.
help
Yeah,
alleviate the pain points that current Web 3 developers are having, where they're trying to cram everything into the front end, database connections, updating database, waiting for transactions.
right.
If someone's trying to connect to the database, they just exit out of the tab, and next thing you notice, your entire interruption or
Yeah,
your entire operation is pretty much spoiled.
altered. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly, exactly, and I can tell you this as well, right? Because we are building a node portal right now, and we have had extreme difficulty in trying to get those things together, right? And that's why I think it was good to have our platform there for ourselves, that we could actually do this thing in a much seamless way. But yes, you're absolutely right on that one. Also, one thing for I think which could be of interest to you is that StackOS, as I said, I heard that you were building NFTs, right? And NFTs usually would be combination of the attributes which your NFT has. But again, these have to be minted and created, right? So people, then usually what they do is they have a local machine sitting there and try to create these new designs, and permutations with the existing assets which they have. Stack was really building that framework, where you could just give the assets which you have, and then it will automatically create permutations and combinations through an API and give back to you the responses to that. So that's kind of again the beauty of, I think, the way we are positioning ourselves as well, that you will be able to get feature functionalities to really implement in your project as well.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you. Yeah, and that's all for my questions. I just wanted to, shout out the team. You guys are doing amazing work. And we currently recommend all of our clients and run all of our websites on it. We have about 5 to 10 applications running on StackOS now,
Oh,
soon to
wonderful.
be around 15. So, thank you so much for the hard work that the team is working on, and thank you for filling a niche space that we much rather prefer supporting StackOS than AWS, GCP, Azure.
No,
So
thanks so much.
keep it up.
Thank you so much, Zach. I think, also one thing which I think I want to mention here is that, I recall that, I think you just mentioned that, you deploy like 9 or 10 apps, right? What I would love to see if we can help you deploy some of the backends as well, and reach out to us, and then we can help you there.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks a lot for that. Next up, Riggs. Please do ask your question.
Hey, Vishnu. It's a pleasure speaking with you for the first time on my end. But yeah,
Thanks,
been
Rick.
in Stack for a while. Um, Honestly, love the project. It's one of my biggest holdings personally. I was very fortunate to get quite a few Gen 1 nodes. But I guess my biggest concern, granted, I think the project is stellar and next tier. I'm just worried about the communication aspect. I just feel like the communication on your side, there doesn't seem to be a reliable source that new people can come to and get consistent information. I know I speak to a number of people about the protocol and my excitement for it, and I know in my Discord community, I have about like a whole thread about Stack, but it's about 20 different articles and different threads that other content creators have put together, but it's not really consolidated in a way where, hey, this new person wants to get in, they want to know your value, and there's not a reliable stream of information, and it kind of goes dark. And I know you guys don't have the
Mhm.
biggest team. I know you guys are heavily engineered, but is there a reason there isn't like a point person to lead communication that you have direct comms with that can make a consistent stream of communication for current investors, new investors, and all that?
Yep, Riggs, thank you very much for the feedback. And congratulations for being able to accumulate the Gen 1s. It's, as I said, this is your second person now I know who's been able to mint Gen 1s. But yeah, I do take the feedback, and I think I agree that we have not been the best at the communication side of things. I think you rightly pointed out as well that we are not a major big team right now, from at least from the communication side of things. We don't have a dedicated team for that. So we do intend to bring in people to fill that gap. And also strategically, some of those things have been intentional, but most of them I don't have excuse for. We do have to do better at that point. And thank you for your support, of creating the content which you have been in your Discord channel, and trying to spread awareness, and maybe probably even answering questions from these folks. What we have, I think, identified ourselves as well. And again, um, uh, I get this feedback from at least few people. So I do understand the frustrations which some people may have, right? And as I said, we try to address that. We are opening positions for the dedicated communications head, to get better on those fronts. We have got substantially improved on some of the documentation side of things for application deployments and everything. So for developers who are coming and deploying on StackOS, so we have now we have a Git book which has all the documentations for how to run applications, deploy applications, and do all those kind of things. So we are more we don't have to be there individually to answer people's questions. But then no, I do understand that this is a new product which we launched, and it does require the support and some steps which people have to follow to be able to accomplish that. In fact, based on the feedback which I've received in the last few days as well, we have brought in a few folks to create content for deploying or minting NFTs on StackOS, being able to claim rewards and pay subscription fees on StackOS, create videos for that as well, and then also creating content for what is that? Or trading on the marketplace once it becomes live. So we are trying to hit on those areas as well, so it becomes more easier for people to basically see the video, which could be the official guide which comes out from us, right? As a project and a protocol, we do hesitate. As I said, there's these things are intentional. As I said earlier, we intentionally do not put that, hey, this is what money you'll make, and we do talk about APYs, what the current existing state of things are, and that's primarily because of the securities laws in the US, right? And our team is expanded, and we want to be here for the long term, and we cannot jeopardize that because of a small silly mistake we make in terms of trying to sell people dreams, right? So we are consciously holding back on some of the rewards and why you should buy stack tokens and stuff. But then we do talk about a lot of these mechanics of how you can use the platform, how you can deploy or mint new NFTs, and how can you subscribe. I think those are have been the pain point for people to learn, and to really copy and practice it. So hopefully that will make at least some experience better for the most people.
No, I really appreciate that answer and the accountability for sure. I completely understand the price point, and that's what people always want to know: how much can I make?
Yes.
But on the flip side, maybe not even focus on that, but reflect more on the fact that you guys are a like a full-fledged business. You guys are
Yes.
a team that is in profit. You guys aren't
Yes.
in debt.
Yeah.
So giving something for, again, I know developers tend to be able to dig into stuff really well, but I'm
Yes.
just really looking at that new person coming in.
Yeah.
What is I talk to people all the time when they're like, oh yeah, nodes are dead. And I'm like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no. That's not a real node. That's something else. This is actually
Right.
tangible. This has a use. And I just think it needs to be able to be consolidated in a way where new investors can see that and just have an easy guide to say, this is official. You start here, you end here, and this is roughly how the rewards work. You don't have to give
Mm-hmm.
finite numbers, but again,
Right.
just an easy step, just because the space is incredibly difficult to break into. It's
Mm-hmm.
very convoluted by, just because it's new and all these new pieces, but the scams are crazy, the rugs are
Yep.
crazy, and I think you
Yes.
guys have one of the biggest legs up, being a legitimate business top to bottom, and
Right.
just getting that professionality where, an investor can feel like they can contact or have a reliable resource to tag to, would go full fledged. So,
Yeah,
I hope that resonates. And then my last
it
question before
does.
I hop off here
No,
is,
before you ask the next question, thank you for the
yeah,
feedback. I think that's amazing. It gives me a thing to think about. So it's food for thought. So thank you very much for that comment.
yeah, no problem at all. My last one, and definitely my last one, is what are your plans for marketing? How do you plan on getting this word out? You guys have tons of these partnerships that seem to come out weekly. So obviously some people are getting the word, but I think largely the crypto community largely doesn't know about you guys. I
Yes.
know you guys were trying to get things situated first, which made complete sense to me, but some people are getting the word, but I haven't seen a huge push for that. So that's my
Yeah.
last question. Thank you again.
Yeah. No, thank you for that question again. So, yes, so we have hired those, we have filled up at least few of the positions, and again, it's a difficult position to fill in because you need a mix of people who understand crypto and have been in this industry for a while, and also know the nicks and the of really making it successful, right? So we've been very selective in on those terms. But that being said, communication of that, especially the Node NFT program. Let's start with that, right? The big reasons why Node NFT program was kicked off was because to increase awareness about StackOS, right? That was fundamentally the main motivation here as well, along with the community actually helping the product grow and decentralizing this to as large an extent as possible. So so a few things is that what we are trying to do is um, we are, I don't want to take exact names because I don't want to commit to that yet, but there are at least few YouTubers which Happy Pappy, if you know him, he has already got in touch with, and he's basically spearheading that arena of people who are running and or people who are going to be talking to about us on their YouTube videos and Twitter campaigns, right? So that is going to start coming out over this, I think, next week and the few week after. We intentionally delayed it a little bit more because we know that though some people had to be contacted about these the support tickets which they had made, and obviously for that sake we couldn't didn't want to add something more. We'll just add more fud to the ecosystem with the new people joining in. So we had to control the communications of ours on that regard, or trying to just expand the knowledge of what we are doing right now. So that was kind of the goal. Next week, I think we should start seeing some of these YouTubers talking about us and talking about the mechanics of things. um, there are again the push in this space is extremely hard. Again, as I said earlier, I think you mentioned this, that NFTs or this entire industry, it's very very hard to break into, and NFT is one of those things, right? And I think we have we have done significantly well in number of NFTs which people have minted, right? People have NFTs which are there lying on OpenSea, and none of them are being sold, right? So there's a reason behind that. So I think in our case, at least, we have at least killed that, right? In terms of people have minted more than we had actually anticipated. We had, I think, the first few generations were minted in few minutes, and others couldn't, right? We had clocked the entire network of Polygon, which went on for hours after because of the blockage which we created on the network. So that's kind of the skill we were operating in, and again, as we start talking about this thing, once now that we know that our the UIs for the Node portal are meeting the expectations of you folks, and with the marketplaces there, it puts us in a better position to be able to market and sell them, use them as a marketing medium as well. So we do intend to start talking about this more via some YouTubers which we have, and and basic different connections which we have. We also like kind of stopped some of our um, just a single site staking, which obviously had a dramatic impact on the token price. But that's perfect, right? Despite all that, pressure which we had about 100 million stack tokens which were locked into the contract onto our staking pools. They have come down to 20%, 20 million or something. So the bulk of the things have already been removed, and people who wanted to use that to to take those tokens out, I think they've already done that. So I'm seeing substantial support in what we have right now at the price point which we have, and also despite Bitcoin actually going down, about 10-15%, Stack has maintained that price point. So which I think is a great position to be in for now. And I think once we have the stabilization going on, and we move towards communicating to these more YouTubers, and it automatically get attention to us. And we are investing on a marketing front. We are investing on hiring people who are going to be dedicated towards communication as well. So hopefully they will have all a positive impact for the project to grow and scale and get more developers, essentially, because that is kind of the core focus. And we want developers to actually deploy on StackOS. We want to build the community which is not here for the hype, or to ride the token value, but for people to really see what we are going to be. We do want to be in a position to be in the top 50 projects in the entire crypto space, and for that we will need to build ground up, and it's not going to happen overnight. And we're just constantly every single day waking up, writing code, trying to talk to people, and building our team as we grow, to really meet those expectations and hit those goals. So um, I hope that answers some of the questions you had about our marketing strategy, and the steps we try to take.
No, that was fantastic. Truly. Obviously, the markets get everybody a little shaky a bit. So, I mean, being able to talk to you directly and getting thorough answers, not, quick little, oh, yeah, we're working on it. But, just kind of just re revamps my confidence in what the direction of everything's going, even though there was like a little bit of a shaky start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still excited to be a part of this, and I'm really excited to see where it goes and see how this kind of spreads out. And once people kind of get the wind of it, where you guys take
Yes.
it from there. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. We're trying our best, and hopefully things will fall the right way. So thanks very much.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Rix. Um, so yeah, if anybody else has any question, then please do hit that request button so that I can accept you to speak up here. All right, I think Vishnu, while we wait for somebody to request to speak, there are a couple of questions. Oh, I mean, as we speak, I got a request, so let me just approve that.
All right. Cool.
Hey, you can ask your question. Unbearable, pretty cool name.
Hi there, Vishnu. It's Martin with regards to Telegram. So I know we've spoken before. Just
Hey.
a quick question, really following on from what Riggs was talking about on the communication front. When we're coming into releasing the marketplace, and I guess the DAO after that, this is a familiar question probably to you, but is there a mechanism such as a test net or something else where you can actually seek direct community input into shaping what that looks like, shaping what the guides look like around it as part of that whole communications piece? I asked that from a point of view of how it tasted from the NFT launch point of view, was that the devs knew exactly what was going on. It was clear how it worked in their minds, but when it actually came to the launch, you were missing that step of understanding, being able to communicate it out to the community. So yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if there's mechanisms and tools which you can put in place, maybe with a smaller user group within the community that can support you guys really.
hmm Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Now, let me answer that question. Sometimes it's extremely hard. So first of all, I totally believe in at least the way I operate, and at least I tried the way I try to align my team here is that we ensure that we have we've listened to people, right? So as I said, there was a lot of feedback. We heard those requests, and then we acted on those requests, right? So all the feedback which we get, we wish you guys speak up, and then we also do our best to really act on those in that direction. That brings me to the second point. I think trying to address that could we have done something better, right? Giving a portal or a test net for these launches to happen, well, we could. Now, yes, we could have, right? And that's being very blatantly, just a blatant truth, right? Now, here's the thing: why we could not, right? So here's the thing: when we release anything which we think is to be released, there's absolutely an immense amount of pressure in terms of getting things out, right? And that also means that it is going to we have to navigate the market, saying that, okay, fine, there's a very high sentiment, we want to see something immediately or not. So we sometimes succumb to those situations where we are, we react and we say, hey, we have to deploy now, let's see what happens, right? So I think those are one of the reasons why we chose not to do it. And the thing is also being very transparent about this is that development sometimes takes longer than you actually anticipated to. And we were pretty confident about how it should have been done, and it did happen that way and all that. But there are times when you do not know what that is. And here's also a thing that we when people are putting in the capital, uh, it sucks because there have been times when people have put in their tokens, uh, assume not understanding it's a test net or as a test environment, and they lose that capital. And no matter how much you tell them that, hey, you know what, do not use your real capital for doing this, people will, or even, or there are risks associated with it, people will just go all in and make the irrational decisions. And we, although we like people giving us feedback immediately or early on, it hurts others, or it hurts some of them very, very badly. And that's and that again, it just has a negative impact on everyone else as well, right? So we try to to time it. And again, this is a program which actually involved a lot of money, lot of anticipation behind it. So we have to be even more restrictive in terms of how what we let people do on the platform, or on the contracts even. um, so these are a few reasons why I think we sometimes want intentionally do not choose or to do it. And also the thing is that as any smart startups, right? And again, if you look at the startup founders and if you read through different startup manuals and everything, there's one thing fundamental about them is that when you release a product or a protocol, you release with a minimal viable product, and then you build on those functionalities which are requested or which are needed sooner than later by the people using it, and then you build on those things. So we try to follow the very lean startup methodology or mindset to really to build as the demand comes for those, and that essentially does help. And sometimes there's one thing where you release everything at once, and not knowing what is going to work, what is not going to work, and you end up spending energy and time on things people don't even use at all, right? So there is value in going to market first, sooner the better, and then get feedback, and investing the time in the products which they want to use more, or tools which they want to use more. I think that we're just driving by that idea as well, and we try to do that way. And again, please give your feedback, and we'll be happy to talk about those, and make improvements and adjustments to our strategy as we go.
Okay, thanks, Vishnu. I think my only follow up to that would be, and obviously I understand the concept of an MVP, but with regards to when we're not talking about developers using the platform, but in this case we're talking about people that might be non-technical with regards to
Yes.
deploying NFTs and basically just investing in the platform.
Yeah.
I guess my concern would be, who is then that voice of the customer, of the user, in determining what goes into the MVP. So I guess from a testnet point of view, I get that there's risks around that. I just wonder if there are other ways of being able to show the community, X number of weeks before launch, what you're planning to launch, what it's going to look like, and it just gives your devs some time to actually get some feedback into the sort of the finalized MVP launch. Just in terms of some basic quality control around what gets put out. That's where I'm coming from, really. I don't know if that's going to be possible. It might be a screen share in an AMA that's pre the launch of the marketplace, for instance, where you're where the community is showing through what it looks like, and you get some direct and actionable feedback.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? Every UI which we implement will be actually talking to the real production, uh, excuse me, a real production environment. So that means production smart contracts, right? And those are extremely critical to work with, and people can lose a lot of money there. So we cannot necessarily give people a UI which they can interact with these contracts without understanding the repercussions of those. A small mistake people make on the contracts directly even can screw up a lot of the capital. And so that's why we're very reserved in trying to give UIs to people which they can use on the test environments. We do have a select group of people who do have access to those versions, and they understand that the risks are extremely high when they are trying to use those those UIs for testing purposes. Again, obviously, you can guess this also, is that we even in the Node portal launch, there were functionalities which we chose not to provide. There were not options which did not work, right? They worked differently, but they always worked. And the reason why they was done that, because we did undergo testing, and it's a very extensive risk to put out something which is untested or is tested on the community. We don't want to be one of those people who test on the community first, right? So we do have select people within the group where they can test our app as they see, but without making it too dangerous for others to use. So if you, or if there are people who are interested in participating in these initial reveals meaning, or at least what the MVP consists of, I think we can make a separate distribution or group of those people who can do that. But there'll be huge risks. And thing is also, they also talk to the smart contracts which we have. So some things would be there before even others get access to. So um, I do try to be reserved, but I'm happy to discuss those options, in separate smaller groups, and where people are committing and understanding the risk which they are willing to take with us.
I think that sounds great to me. I think it's, as you say, they'll need to understand the risks they're running by being involved in it. So yeah, let's pick that up in chat. I think we're trying to set up a meeting next week anyway. Thanks, Vishnu.
Awesome, sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that question. So if anybody else has any question, please do hit that request button. I think we'll take in a couple more questions. Yeah, Vishnu, while we wait for that, there are a couple of questions on our community channel. So one of those questions is that can you explain how the Gen Zero node monthly fees work? Because they're asking, it's not clear if I need to pay $5,000 in full, or if I can simply pay $100 to benefit from the future node NFT minting fee.
Yeah. So all they have to do is just participate in any fashion, any order. They could do 100. They could, that is a minimum. So either start with 100, or you could do 5,000. It's all entirely up to you. And again, once you subscribe, you are there for the 1 month. You cannot keep adding to it. Once it's added, and that's it, right? So um, just make sure you subscribe within this epoch, which is going to be you know um, this month, right? And whatever's collected in this epoch, we will be airdropping you guys, or just sending it to your wallets, depending on whoever the holder of these NFTs are. But then just make sure you subscribe with whatever amount, and that's fine. It does give you subscribed status if you just pay even $100.
Got it. I hope that answers their question. Another question was, what does Vishnu see as the spark that will create hyperscale both on the NFT side and in driving deployments?
Yep. So first thing first, right? I think we need to do more. There needs to be more awareness of this platform, of what we have right now. And I think once the moment we start to do this more over the coming weeks, that will scale up, right? And I think the biggest contributors for this growth would be our community, right? So I would heavily, put my put my position as that community is what drives crypto projects, and that is the reason why we are in the crypto business, to really scale this up. So I would urge all of our community members to actually talk about it and bring in support from all different places where they are, right? And I think all of us will be benefiting from that. So I think that's one place where I really want to emphasize that there is no free lunch, right? And we all have to work hard and do our own bit to really make this thing successful, for all people who are treating it as an investment, but also ones who are there to really see or revolutionize the what we are seeing right now. So in terms of using the platform, right, what I think personally, this is again from the from marketing point of view, meaning that awareness point of view, but talking about this thing from deployments and everything. So we're already seeing that we are seeing more and more deployments happening every single day, and that's actually very important because we have kind of already, we are on that trajectory where we will potentially already see this, and there is no secret sauce to this, right? There's nothing that one thing you do and is going to just make all deployments come to StackOS. By the way, I think I mentioned this earlier as well. StackOS is the most utilized decentralized cloud, and all the projects, be it crypto or blockchain based project, here, one of our folks, community members, from what is that, Sage Labs, I think he mentioned that they do require all these backend services running, and that is what is going to bring the web 2 experience on the web 3 world. And that also means that everyone will be required compute, and we are positioning ourselves for the realization to happen that why is this so important, and and what should be done to really scale this up. So I think as more developers come in, more deployments happen, it's a ripple effect. In fact, most of the deployments which are happening on StackOS are through referrals of people who have deployed themselves. So this is an organic growth, which will bring in organic deployments and the growth of the entire ecosystem as well. Otherwise, you are a project which pumps and it dumps right after, and history tells us people don't make money on those projects. So people make money on the projects which actually just do well, and they tend to go up over time, and that's the position we want to be in, of being able to add really value adding community members who are going to see the growth over time, and not having expectations of tomorrow's going to pump and then it's going to go back, because people lose in those projects all the time, right? So that's kind of, I think, structurally, I think it's important for us to really showcase our deployments and everything. We are being more outward as well, so we have few product features will be releasing over the next over this quarter, which is going to get more node projects deployed on StackOS, right? We are adding that one secret functionality which is going to attract a lot of these web 2 projects to deploy on StackOS. That is going to bring an insane amount of highlight to us of being one of those only decentralized cloud projects which have web 2 companies deploying on it. And that is also the truth, because we have a lot of these web 2 companies who are deploying on StackOS. So I think that knowledge that awareness which is going to be spread out is what is going to really help us be in that hyperscale growth chart.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Vishnu. So, for the people in the audience, we'll be waiting for a few more minutes if you want to request to speak. Um, until then, I'll be asking Vishnu some questions from the community. So, Vishnu, another question from the community is that if you could clarify how the high yield program payment tax cycle works. So about the 3 month, the 4 month period, if you could just clarify that.
Yeah, of course. So again, for clarity purposes, smart contracts do not respond by themselves. It has to be invoked to respond, right? So what that basically means is that when you make a transaction on the network, that's the smart contract and says, okay, fine, this guy has paid or this guy has withdrawn, right? So these are the different transactions which actually tell the contracts what has to be what should be the response of that request or the transaction. So starting with right now, when people pay the first month subscription fees, uh, the timer starts, right? So that's an indication of, okay, this has started, right? And then when you make the second payment, that's a second transaction, which says, okay, now he's paying now. Either that thing falls within the right period of time, within the grace period, or it doesn't, right? So if it does, also, okay, let's say it falls in the right within the grace period, that means they're subscribed for the second cycle now, and it's all good, right? And they are, that's how the smart contracts understand when you're closing the first month. So initiation of the second month basically means the closing of the first month, right? So that's kind of the logic. Now when it comes to third month, you pay a third month subscription fees, the timer starts for the third month, right? And then how would you know the third month is finished is when the transaction goes through, say, okay, the fourth transaction has been made and our fourth payment has been made. So the third month is closed. Moment you pay the fourth installment or the fourth subscription fees, you can immediately withdraw all of the four payments which you have made historically. So basically, the fourth transaction is a redundant transaction which you just make to just close that event cycle of 3 months. So I hope that makes it clear. So it is still end of the 3 months is when you get back all your rewards. The only thing which when people I think are getting confused here is that the transaction medium for the contract to understand the third month is finished, it has to be with a payment which will be withdrawn, which can be withdrawn immediately. So basically, you have the 4 months payment, you make the four payments, and then you can again recycle the same thing over your next 3 months of payment which you have to make. If that makes sense to people. Is there is there
Yeah, I
is there any question specifically for this? If they have any clarifications needed for this specific thing what I explained right now, but I do understand people are getting confused here. I would rather have them understand than just trying to assume people are understood this time.
yeah, I am keeping an eye on the chat on our Telegram and Discord to see if anybody has any follow-ups to that. Um, but yeah, probably one follow-up to that was, and when withdrawing the maintenance fee for a single generation of nodes after 3 months, does it reset the 0% tax for nodes in all other generations, like back to 75%?
So everything is per node, right? Node NFT, right? So if you're withdrawing, for one node NFT, it's absolutely fine, right? So you can withdraw that at all times, right? That's all good. Other NFTs will still follow the same schedule which they were. So it is not generation dependent. It is a node NFT dependent.
Okay, hopefully that answers the question. There is another speaker here, non-fungible tokens. Again, great name. So please, you can ask your question.
Hey, Vishnu.
Hey, mate.
Just wanted to say thank you so much for all your guys' work on this
Hey,
project.
just 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. If you can just keep, if you can just speak closer to the microphone, I think that would be best. I think there's a
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Is that
but if you can, yeah, if you can just speak a bit closer to the mic, I think that would be best because I think the audio is a bit too low.
Oh no.
Oh, actually, Arvind,
Okay,
I could hear him very clearly. So maybe it's just your side.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that then. Please go ahead.
yeah, just wanted to say thank you so much for all the work that you guys have been doing on this project. I think anybody who has actually dug in and researched this project is extremely bullish on it. And I definitely am. I think a lot of the questions that were brought up in this AMA were really good, particularly around the communication and the marketing and stuff. And it was really good to hear your guys' the fact that it's on your radar and you guys are working to improve that side of things and everything. I think one thing that would be really useful is maybe having I don't know if weekly is too much, but maybe like a monthly cadence and having something similar to this. Is that something that you would be open to in terms of having maybe monthly AMAs or something where the community can communicate directly with you and ask some of these questions and gain kind of more long form responses that are really helpful for not only the community getting their questions answered, but also to hear your thought process on how you're thinking of growing this business in the future. That's something you would consider.
Yeah, I think that's a great feedback. Arvind, maybe it'd be a good idea for us to make a note of that. And I think let's do it. I think once a month, I think is very reasonable. time frame for us to go and reach out. And as I said, we have been intending to be more customer focused and also community focused. I try to be, I myself try to be on Telegram as much as possible. I have a lot of things to do, and but I understand the value which the community brings in, so I do occasionally, at least once in few days, I'm there, and I usually go on a rant to respond to those questions which you guys have. So I think this is a great feedback, and maybe we can do something like an AMA on Twitter Spaces even, to see like on a monthly cadence, like what you can do.
Yeah, I think the community would really appreciate that. At least, I mean, I would, and I think a lot of others would
Yeah,
find that useful as well.
yeah. We have recently added another marketing guy to our team, and I think he would be operating, and I think it would be starting to work in next 2 weeks or something. But the intention would be to really, so there are applications deployed on StackOS, and there are real people deploying Stack applications on StackOS. So we will be doing that feature on YouTube and stuff, where we will be talking with them and talking about their project and what brought them to deploy on StackOS. And it also reinforces to the community that we are a project which actually is working, and people use it, deploying it, and they are running on StackOS, right? And to really drill through that, and to a lot of the noise which people sometimes may have, that okay, you know what, is just a project which is trying to do something, or is promising to do something, but we are in a position, we are fortunate to be in a position to where we are having real customers using us, and doing really well in that regard. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thank you very much. That's all I had. Keep
Thanks, man.
crushing
Thanks,
it.
Batoken. Thanks very much, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, and we'll definitely take in your feedback, and we'll do this more often, preferably once in a month at least. So yeah, Vishnu, there are a couple more follow-ups to the tax cycle answer that you
Yes.
gave. One is that
Hmm.
can the payment amount stay within the node portal at 0% tax, or do they have to be withdrawn to your wallet and reset the tax cycle?
Yeah, so they do not have to be withdrawn. You can keep it there, it is, and where it is, and you will maintain the 0% tax. There are people who would want to rotate capital, because they want to mint more node NFTs, and use that to really scale up the rewards which they get from that. Um, but there are also people who do not have that capital, or they would rather, or they have the capital which they can, and they don't want to mint more NFTs, but they can just keep adding it to their existing locked up stack tokens. So that way, they are able to get out when they really want to, and without any tax implications. So yes, you can just keep adding your stack token subscription fees, and you keep locking them into your contract, but and you will have zero tax after the end of the third month. Um, just remember that once you withdraw at any point in time, um, at whatever time frame you put it out, pull it out, it will reset the clock back to 75% of your next subscription fees. So again, you have to just hold it for 3 months, and then it'll again become zero from there. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. I think another question was uh, again, do we have to withdraw after month 4 to use the rewards to claim on other nodes, or can this be automated?
Uh, there is no automation yet, but we are coming out with an application on StackOS which you can deploy again on StackOS, which will automate that process for you.
That's great. I love it when our community
So
members get to deploy an
yeah,
app on
so that's
StackOS. Yeah,
yeah, I know, guys. Just FYI for people who don't know Arvind well enough, he is a complete product guy. All he likes to hear about is what is really going on with our usage and utilization and stuff. So I can understand, like, where the excitement comes from. So yeah, that's kind of the beauty of this, right? I think we want to create believers of the project who are using it and also participating in you know, all the yield programs we have, and that is kind of the framework we're trying to operate in, and really trying to add value. So we have people, even the ones who are participating in the high yield program, are the ones who are contributing to the network of actually learning about StackOS, and seeing how it works, and really helping everyone else to learn about this as well. So That's phenomenal. I think very few projects have are positioned to be able to talk of it this way, and that's kind of the beauty of this. So yes.
All right. I think we're reaching close to the 1.5 hour mark. So I just accepted Sage Labs again. I think he has another question. So this will be the last question because I did not see any other request on Twitter. So yeah, Sage Labs, please go ahead and ask your question.
Arvind, maybe we can give one like 2 more minutes just for people to ask in case they want to after Zach finishes.
All right, sure, definitely.
Great.
Hey Vishnu, sorry, Zach here again. I have another question. Does StackOS plan on creating a service similar to Lambda functions that AWS holds? I feel like that would be
Yes.
extremely powerful.
Yes.
And yeah, I'd love to just kind of hear your take on that.
Yes. Answer to the question is yes. And
Yes, yes.
so
Yes.
so
Sorry.
yes. And the answer to the question is yes. So here's the thing, right? So there are, and again, we're going to be supporting more of these different things on StackOS. Is that people are at this point in time are constantly looking for events which will be occurring on the blockchain, right? And it's not easy to track those events on the blockchain and report them on to the real world. Let's say, for example, somebody has you know somebody needs to pay a monthly subscription fee, or somebody pay the subscription fees, right? Or let's say that or somebody has deployed on StackOS and they are low on balance on their on their wallet, right? So when that happens, it's going to be a transaction on the network which people will make, or settlement will happen. When settlement happens, it is going to trigger an event which nobody is able to track at this point in time, pretty much in the entire blockchain space. How do you give notification to someone who's using a phone that, hey, you are supposed to pay this fees now? But that is incredibly powerful thing to do, where you are able to notify people in the back end of from the back end that, okay, new subscription has come in, or your fees are due, and that announcement, that is how you bring real web 2 experience onto web 3. And that's why you require something like StackOS to really build up that foundation of infrastructure. And that's where it actually leads to, right? So to your question is, will we be having Lambda functions? The answer is yes, because when you don't want to be running applications which will be you know uh, which will be independent, so which will be talking to different notifications for different people. It's going to be one of few of those services which will be reporting to everyone, and that will be triggered and will be up only when notification has to be made, right? That's what cost optimization is. That's what resource optimization is. And again, you'd be having another service on StackOS, which will be basically be a listener on the blockchain. So you can listen to all the events on the blockchain. The moment it hears the notification you want to track, it will trigger the cloud or the Lambda function equivalent on StackOS, and that will basically give a notification of any sort onto mobile devices or emails and yada yada yada. It could even be running a secondary process to for any processing which you need to do, or your application needs to do. So yes, we'll be supporting that as well as the future scope goes on. And that is the beauty of this, right? Again, StackOS infrastructure actually supports all of these already. We just have to put layers on top of it, and all of that layers will essentially still continue to use the StackOS ecosystem or StackOS infrastructure protocol, which is, I think, very, it will be very powerful in the near coming future.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that being extremely powerful. And from the developer standpoint, that tool right there can unlock unlimited possibilities that truly fill the gaps that Web 2 has with Web 3. So, yeah, thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, man.
Thanks again, Zach. Vishnu, a couple more follow up to the high APY program. One is that so the question is, let's say a person paid a payment every second month, would they then have $600 locked at 75% tax after 1 year?
So let's say that somebody um, pays the first month, right, and then they skip the second month. That is what it is. Skipping the second month. Could you repeat the question again, Arvind, please?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. So let's say a person paid a payment every second month. would they then have $600 locked at 75% tax after 1 year?
That's right.
Okay.
So every second month, depending upon how long they have paid, right? But it'll be 75%. If you miss a payment in the 3 month period, you automatically move back to 75% tax rate.
Got it.
So it's probably just better to withdraw and then and then add you if you're trying to do it in every second month. It'd rather be withdraw second month and then or withdraw whenever and then pay when you really want to.
Okay. Just looking at the chat to see if there's any more questions.
One thing which I just want to make a comment, maybe we didn't ask me this already before. So, on these epochs, which will collect the revenue, right? The rewards which are there. Just remember, right? You can pull it up in the history as well. So even you can pull your rewards from the contracts up to 3 epochs earlier, collected up to 3 epochs earlier as well. So you don't have to be like, okay, I'm going to claim this month because I will lose it. No, you can claim it up till the third month. Finishes. So within 30.
I think most of the questions have been answered. I don't see any request on. Oh, as I say, there is another request again from Riggs. So let me just approve him.
Hey, Riggs.
Yeah, Riggs, you have the floor.
Yeah, super quick question. Will we have the ability to pay our monthly fee like ahead of time, like in a 3 month interval or something like that?
Yeah, we do not support that. We don't intend to support it either because it will mess up with the structure of how it is intended to work. Like for example, we want this thing to be um, such that the tokens will be locked in at the rate when the next month actually occurs, right? So that is the thing which we want to make sure that we can time that at least about a month. So we have a constant buy pressure for the tokens in the market. And while again, as I said, there are ways and mechanics how to reduce the sell pressure through the marketplace and through also just trading these NFTs, right? And from the fact that it's locked up to 1 year, so it reduces that dramatic sell pressure as well. So we can time it. However, let me ask, let me answer this question in one different way. Is yes, we will be allowing a service on StackOS. So you can deploy an app on StackOS. You can pay your USDC onto the contract, and that contract will auto execute over the three months in the right period of time.
So you're saying if you're deploying an app, you're able to do that, just not as a node deployer.
So what could you explain that, please? As a deployer, what do you mean by that?
Sorry, like if you are a customer who deploys an app on StackOS, like an actual application, you can pay that ahead of time. But if you are a investor that deploys a node, you're unable to pay that ahead of time. Is that am I understanding correctly?
It is right and wrong at the same time, and I'll tell you why. It's wrong because I think everyone who's deploying an app or deploying who was minting NFT and is paying their monthly fees, they're also technically quote unquote deployers, right? Because they are also deploying an app on the StackOS's platform. So when you go to the app store, you deploy the node portal, you basically deploy yourself, right? So there will be another application in the app store where you can deploy that, and then that will be a bot which will be making the payments for you on your behalf.
That makes complete more sense. I got that. Thank you.
Awesome, great. That's actually very, very bullish again, just to say that.
Thanks for that, Riggs. We have another speaker up here, Scotty. You can ask your question.
I don't know more about the project. That's why, I'm just new here. I just want to for you to elaborate more about the project.
Sorry, I probably didn't understand the question.
Yeah, I think neither did I. Could you just repeat that, Scotty?
I thought you guys are on a project.
If you want to learn more about our project StackOS, you can definitely visit our website, which you can find on our Twitter bio. But it's stackos.io. I think that's a great place to start to learn more about StackOS and what we do exactly. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, feel free to drop into our Telegram group. It's at StackOS, the exact name, STACKOS, and I'm sure that a lot of the community members will help you understand this as well.
Yeah, and our Discord
And Discord,
conversations
yes.
there have been pretty good as well. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sorry,
Yeah.
I think I pulled you for 10 minutes extra. So
No problem. Just one last check to see if there's anything else that I missed. Any other questions? Uh, yeah, I think we're good. I think you've answered most of the questions that the community members had. Uh, are you okay are you willing to take one more speaker, Vishnu? One more
sure,
question?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Yeah. Uh, Girl Dad, I think you can ask your question now.
Hi, Vishnu. First of all, thank you for your time. I just wanted to know if you could help help us strategize with the HYP program. There was some talk about how you can mint nodes for a discount with your locked subscription fees, or um, for Gen Zero node holders, they wanted to know some other strategies they can use for their HYP program, since their subscription fees can be variable. So if you can just kind of elaborate on some strategies that we can do with our HYP program.
So, I mean, there are multiple ways people can do. Honestly, I am not qualified enough to, to talk about all the different, strategies people have been using, but I can at least mention few of them. We have there are people who are um, wanting to mint more NFTs, and they want to be able to pay for for subscription fees with the stack tokens which they have, right? So that's one way of doing it. But they also understand that the downside to that is that you do not have enough NFTs minted, so you can't necessarily have all of those getting you the rewards, which you could have. You If you can mint more NFTs and you'll be able to pay with the stable coin, then you are able to lock in these stack tokens at a lower price than otherwise if the price goes up. So that's kind of a strategy which people do use, of just not launching enough, just having few of them and stuff. The other way where you can you just mint too many and you pay stable coins. The others where people have been using it such that um, they are holding these NFT, they're purchasing these NFTs, and then they are just using it as to sell it on the marketplace. I mean, so the older the earlier generations, they said that they would probably most likely sell at a higher price compared to the newer ones. So it just becomes easier for them. Also, they can make money out of that as well. So there are strategies around like just minting and just selling on the marketplace. There are also for the high APY program, as you had asked earlier. uh, you know it's a mix, man. It's a mix of paying with stack tokens. It's a mix of how many NFTs you want to mint, and if you want to pay with the stable coins and all those things in that area.
Great. Thank you for your answer. Just to clarify, after the fourth payment is made and you're able to unlock the 0% claim tax, you still have a timer, right? You would have to make your next subscription payment to maintain that 0% claim tax. Am I correct?
That is if you want to maintain the 0% tax.
Right.
Yes. So you'll have to make the payment in the fifth month. That's a choice, right? But essentially, you can withdraw at the end of the end of the third month. After you make the fourth payment, you can immediately withdraw everything to still get 0%.
Right.
But it resets. It puts you back into the state of unsubscribed state.
Right. Right. Okay. Great. Thank you for your time, Vishnu. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Of course, of course.
Thanks for that, girl dad. Um, Vishnu, one more last.
And by the way, girl dad, I want to really thank you for all the constant support you've been providing on our Discord channel and also on the Telegram channel. It means a lot when the community, is self-motivated and helping each other out to do this. The Stack was intended to be a community-driven project, so I really appreciate everyone, who was adding value and trying to help people out here. So thanks very much.
That means a lot to me, Vishnu. I appreciate that, but I want to thank the community itself because I'm just an investor like everybody else. I was brought on later on, so and the community really backed me up and helped me, and I just wanted to just pass that along, just so I can help others too that come in. So I mean, as a team, I think we'll be all right. So I'm not too worried. So thank you for that, Vishnu.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, really appreciate all your efforts in our community, girl dad. Vishnu, one last question about the high ABY. So once you pay the month four payment to unlock the payments, will there be an option to use those payment amounts for, I mean, you said there will be an option to use those payment amounts for future payments. So in the Node portal, there is no option for that right now. So will there be a UI update coming to enable that?
I have to check back, and I don't want to commit to something which I think it was intended to be there, but I'll have to just take a look at the contract to see if that thing is even allowed there. So right now, it's not in the UI for sure. Will it be added? I can answer after looking at the contract, but there are so many different exits and entries to those contracts, so we may have made a last minute decision to keep it out. But again, that we don't know yet. We can take a look, and I can confirm that to you guys soon.
All right, I think with that, we can close the questions from our community. So thank you everyone for joining today. I really appreciate all of you coming in, participating, and asking these great questions. If you have any more questions, you can always ask them on our Discord server or our Telegram channel. Our admins have been doing an excellent job answering a lot of these questions, so a huge shout out to them. Our community members have also been very helpful to each other, and that's always a great sight to behold. So if you remember, we had a small competition for asking the best questions. So our team in the backend has decided the winners. So the winners are True Dog and Sage Labs. So congratulations, guys! Your questions were really great, and our team loved that. So do keep your Twitter DMs open. One of our team members will reach out to you and take this forward. And if you're anywhere in the Netherlands or near there, do drop by to Amsterdam for the ETH event and say hello to our CMO, Iman, or you might popularly know him as Phosphor from his
Phosphor.
Telegram handle and Discord handle. It's on the 22nd April and it goes on till 24th April.
We couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. It's on 22nd April and goes on till 24th April. We're one of the sponsors for that event. We're starting off with ETH Amsterdam, but we have a good relationship with ETH Global, and we'll continue to sponsor further events that they host, and we'll definitely be part of those as well. So, Vishnu, any last closing words that you have before we end this?
Yeah, I want to just state one thing is that we are doing some good. So once if you are there, you will get some good goodies with StackOS logos on it if you show up on to the ETH event in Amsterdam. So please do come there. I unfortunately can't make it. I really tried to, but my passport was misplaced, and I finally have it now. But it was too late for me to really go get the visa. for Amsterdam. So yeah, sorry about that, but please just drop in if you can. Um, but yes, thank you very much again for your time. It's been a long 1 hour, 59 minutes or 49 minutes of this call. Thank you so much for asking great questions, and I hope my question answers were they were appropriately addressed or addressed to you guys. And yeah, please let me know. I'm always available on Telegram, and um, you can send me a DM, or you can send me or just tag me in the main StackOS group or on Discord. I'll be happy to answer them there as well. And again, we'll try to make this thing more frequent, maybe once a month at least, and where we can have an open-ended conversation with all of you guys. So yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Vishnu. And thanks again, everybody, for your time. We'll see you soon.